Hello darlings. So I'm rather busy at the moment and I only have today to myself, so I'm still trying to catch up with time lost because of the storms last week. So I haven't had time. It takes me a long time to make my blog posts because putting in those pictures, loading them up, and I'm very slow on anything to do with working with the computer on my blog. So for me to do a blog post, it takes me about 5 hours. So I don't really have that time at the moment, and I will find the time, but it's easier for me to just make a video and then I can share this in the newsletter as well. And we're coming up now to this buck full moon on the 3rd of the 7th. And you know that the Vesica Pisces passage is 37 and 73. So this 7-3 is a very symbolic full moon. We're going to have Mercury very, very visible, conjunct to the Sun, right on Sirius, and they will be opposing the moon to give us that full moon right on the noon key, on this noon key star, the elbow of the archer, and celebrating, bringing up this energy of the empire. Jupiter currently in a high cardinal sign in Aries. So we're going to have a big fire energy with Mars and Venus in Leo, right by Regulus. We're going to have the moon on Altair, very close, or really on Vega of that summer triangle. So it's also the play of this summer and winter triangle. And this was what I was showing you in the last video. I let you have a peek of the video that we made with Lars. We will be making a new video. I'll talk about that more at the end, and projects for some content for my site that I'll be doing in the next 2 weeks. But this is what I was talking about the other day. You see, we've got Scorpio and Sagittarius on either side of this summer solstice. This is the signs mirrored down on Earth for the summer solstice. So all the images of Lars, they show us where the signs are for spring, for summer, for fall, and for winter. And so summer solstice is very important because that is the keeper of the four corners, that is Sirius. And now we've got the moon on the opposite axis of Sirius in Altair. So we've got Mars and Sagittarius on each side of this meridian ley line. This is the Union Jack. We've got the 3 flags that make the British flag, and that gives us Jack and the beanstalk. So Jack is the archetype of Saint Martin, Soranus, of Ophiuchus, of this 13th sign, which is really us when we find the passage between our temples. We find that medulla, high priestess, and we pass through the temples, and you can see that we've got Gemini and Taurus right on those tips of Alaska and Russia, that 55 kilometers, and then in the middle we can have the Hawaii 5-0. This makes the 5-pointed star. So we've got this meridian ley line touching perfectly on the other side, if you put that back into a circle, of this silver and golden triangle gates, Milky Way passage. So full moon right on the Archer on noon key that we've looked at. So noon, midday, key, very much like the monkey, the moon key. This gives us this passage right between Scorpio and Sagittarius, the galactic gap. So Taurus is the first sign to touch the fixed cross, although we're still jumping on that solstice gate. So for this solstice that we've just had, 21, 6, the sun is in Taurus. So it's now officially between Taurus and Gemini, but for that solstice date, it is now officially in Taurus. It's the first sign to hit the new cross. So this is where we're rising Jacques, Merlin, Arthur and Merlin, the sword in the stone is closing. And this is where we've got the full moon. So bringing up on the other side this pharmaceutical green gods and really marking, this is the buck full moon. So this is that energy of Pan, Uranus, Dionysus, Bacchus, whatever you want to call him, Saint Martin de Tours. This is the caped hero. See, Sagittarius with his cape. So we come back to the full moon now. So for the solstice, for the storms and all the flooding, we had Venus, Mars already in Leo, but we had Venus and the moon in Cancer. Yep, she was definitely in Cancer. So this flooding energy, but now we're going to have the moon right conjunct to the sun in Gemini. Let's go to that full moon coming up. Right, I've put 9:30 in the morning because it's officially UTC at 7:30, and now we're going to have Venus and Mars in Leo. So you see, we've got the famous stag, Saint Martin de Tours, Instagram. This is really the Pan full moon. So the native full moon used by the Old Farmer's Almanac come from a number of places, including Native American, colonial American, and European sources. Traditionally, each full moon name was applied to the entire lunar month in which it occurred, not solely to the full moon. The full moon in July is called the buck moon because the antlers of male deer bucks are in full growth mode at this time. Bucks shed and regrow their antlers each year, producing a larger and more impressive set as the years go by. So we're going to have this Apollo energy, the sun and Mercury, the messenger, right there on Sirius in this winter triangle, on that Gemini Taurus passage right in the galactic gap, and we're going to have the moon right here, so marking this Jacques, the chemin, the path in France, the Compostelle path of Saint Jacques, which is all about the Venus shell. At every stop you have the Venus, and it takes you to Bilbao, very much like in Lord of the Rings. There's a very similar name, Bilbao, to crown the Lord of the Rings, that Saint-Jacques Compostelle path, and which Saint-Jacques is just the same person as Saint-Jean, and Saint-Jean is the saint, the festival feast saint of that winter-summer triangle. So these are all things I've been picking up in the past week, and all these stories are coming together because I said There was that big explosion in Russia, and I think that we are looking at some swinging towards what's going on in Montreal, these fires we've had in the newspapers, that the smoke is coming to France. And I have just next to here again, Montreal de Gers, which brings me back to the covering of the patient, the English patient. And Montreal de Gers is a town, a Roman town with a very famous villa, and its postcode is 3220550. So we've got the 50, the 5 again. But we'll come to that. We're just looking right now at this full moon. So we're going to have these inner planets, Venus and Mars, in fixed fire. Jupiter and North Node and Uranus in fixed fire. The Sun and Mercury in Gemini, so all working together very well between masculine signs. And then in fire as well, the Moon and Saturn still on this former halt, and Neptune will be the only, well, yeah, Neptune is not retrograde yet, but Pluto and Saturn are retrograde, and Pluto will still be in Capricorn at this moment. Yeah, and he will move into Sagittarius, and that's when things are really, he moves in on the 8th. On the 8th, and you know, I think that can be a play on 33. We will have had 2 double full moons in June. It was on the 6-3, the 3rd of June, very much between the 4th and the 3rd. Just over midnight, just on that solstice midnight time. And now we've got the full moon again on the 3rd. So that 3 and the 3 makes this 8. And Pluto will be back in Sagittarius for that period before he comes back here on the 3rd of January to Capricorn. And then Venus will be about to do her retrogrades. Here's Venus, so Venus, then on Bastille Day on the 14th, she is beginning stationary and beginning her journey. I would think that that would be officially Venus retrogrades. Retrograde 2023, July the 22nd. It was the 3rd of September. That day I'll always remember. Right, here we go. So 9-3 is very much a mirror of the full moon, the full flower moon, the full blood moon that we had on the 3rd of the 6th. So you just flip the 6 and the 9, and you've got 39, 63, 36. You can play with that 9. So wow. Okay, so officially the 22nd, which is what we've got there that day, where that's the time, 7. So yeah, 22nd. Venus, yeah, it looks like she's already beginning her journey, but she's going down, she's going down. She's going down, but on the 20th, we're going to have the moon there as well. Just after a new black moon, which will be, so we're going to have a new black moon on the 17th of July on Pollux, Lord of the Rings. Here we go, guys. So we've just had a new black moon that was in Taurus on the 18th, and now bang on Pollux. Bang on Pollux for the 17th, and then we've got Venus beginning officially on the 22nd. I have Mercury as she begins her journey, all Mercury, Mars and Venus in Leo. Venus goes all the way back to Cancer, and then it will start moving forwards on the 3rd of September in Cancer, right over the Solomon Passage, which is what that Titan submarine was. It's a copy of Solomon's. I was looking up to see that vessel, but they've given me this exactly in this image of the D'Artagnan, the caped hero, the Zorro, the Jacques, some person called Solomon Bionic Titan, a mysterious leader of a galactic. Solomon is the mysterious leader of the Galactic Guardian Group. Well, everything I explain, the Galactic Gap, a covert agency apparently dedicated to studying extraterrestrials and protecting the Earth from alien threats. Ghostbusters. Although he claims to be the group's leader, in secret he takes orders from an unknown man. Right. So here's King Solomon's Shamir, and there is the Ocean Gates Titan submersible. So this is why this is that passage exactly that Venus will be doing between Leo and Cancer. So just a reminder of a few of these pictures. So this full moon is on this gap between Sagittarius and Scorpio, Gemini and Taurus, which marks that Union Jack line right on Altair and Sirius. The Sun and Mercury on Sirius, and the Moon is under Vega, but this is the winter and summer triangle, the golden and the silver gates, rising Ophiuchus and killing Scorpio, exactly in the image of St. George. Okay, so bringing up this revolution, this, looking for the Mad Hatter's Tea Party. It's already happening. It was in the newspapers today. We've got in France people attacking all the mayors, the C, maire, M-A-I-R-E, the town mayor in French is the same pronunciation as the C. So this gap, Sagittarius, Taurus, Gemini, Sagittarius, Gemini, Taurus, that makes the Jack line. Father Christmas has had that winter solstice, and now Father Christmas wants the summer solstice too. Gap. So I don't want to waste time on that. I'm going to show you again, this makes the number 13. It's all about this cube. I'm going to show you a few pictures of Lupiac I took the other day. This is the church, which is called the San Barthélemy. And I was talking to you in the last video about Oz. So water, Z, Oz, They have found, they are at the moment digging for Roman archaeologists are working. So again, it's this Roman town, and they're just saying, and the flame is going to go, the Olympic flame is going through the Gers, through Eos. We are on this 0 meridian ley line. And then they had the big commemoration again. D'Artagnan is in the newspapers every day. We've got that Melly Mellow. So that was on the 17th. But then in this church, so here we've got Glorious and Victorious. And we've got the Lucifer Angel. And here we've got the clowns, the jazz players, and the Canadian flag. This is the journey of D'Artagnan. And showing that part of France here. This is right at the top of, this is the north of France. This is the north of France, and this is the journey of Matrix down D'Artagnan, the journey of D'Artagnan. If we look on the map at Gers, and we've got, so here's Lupiac, here's Aignan, the 5-pointed star. 5-pointed star, let's put it back to the map. Aignan, and then we've got in the same line, so there's the top of the star, Aveyron-Bergerel that I showed you, Marguerite Mem, the MM, Lupiac over here, and then we've got Montreal, there we go, Montreal. So Montreal is just on the border of Lot and Garonne and Les Landes over here. And Montreal, so the fires are coming from Montreal and they're crossing the Atlantic. That's what they were telling us. Montreal, Gers, 32250. So Montreal is a commune in the Gers department in southern west Wikipedia. In the neighborhood are numerous old castles, medieval walled villages, small towns around castles, and many sacred places, because the Via Podienis is one of the 4 routes through France on the pilgrimage to the tomb of St. James the Great in Santiago. So that's the Saint Jacques, James, Jacques, Jean. So I used to have, my first house here was a house on the chemin, and I know all about Montreal because the people it would be 2 stops away from me, and I was just next to Eos, and I was on the 00 meridian ley line, and I bought that house in 2012 for the London Olympics, and I had my first week alone with a full house of pèlerins. And for the opening of the Olympics, I fell unconscious. I fell over, hit my head, and all the pèlerins had to come and look after me. And it was only later I realized that I must have been, it was something to do with the ceremonies going on for the Greenwich line, this ley line. But what's important is we've got the Bastide of Bretagne d'Armagnac. So this connection between where I was showing you in Brittany, Carnac, where they had the opening of the ZADs, and they had as well, so Notre Dame de Landes. Notre Dame de Landes, so this is in Brittany. It's in Brittany, and yet this Montreal is Montreal. I keep saying Montreal, it's Montreal, is right between Les Landes, so there's the border, there's the line, it just hits between Tarn, Lot and Tarn, and here Les Landes. It's between those three departments. So there's the Bastides, a fortified new towns built in medieval Languedoc, Gascony, Aquitaine, England and Wales during the 13th and 14th centuries, although some authorities count Mont-de-Marsan and Montauban, which was founded in 1144, as the first Bastides. So these were the first Bastides. The city of Eos and its Roman treasure, the Museum of D'Artagnan in Lupiac, the Spa of Barpeton-le-Terme, so that's where the Olympic, they're bringing the rowing to this area in Casabon. But what is important about this as well is that we have got the Villa Montréal du Gers, is the Roman villa. Copy, put Roman villa, Sevignac, it's called Sevignac. So check out, we have all this, you know, this is all Romulus and Remus, this is all Roman, and the Titan has now sunk. And we're bringing up this Greek energy. So this merging of the Roman and Greek. So, you know, this is for me, this merging, we've got that kind of fine line of Roman Greek solstice at the moment on this summer solstice on the meridian ley line, bringing up the chemin de Jacques Compostelle, this passage, Sagittarius, Scorpio, they walk between Sagittarius and Scorpio, and also Maastricht, the path of D'Artagnan is this path, so, you know, from east to west or west to east, and this merging of north to south, south to north as well. So these Roman villas, Villa Gallo-Romaine at Montreal de Gers, it's got this connection with Canada. They keep this Roman village absolutely intact. Okay. So, you know, there used to be lots of baths, lots of water here. They've all been blocked. There was free-flowing water. And that's why Eos is Oz. Oz just means the place of water, the new fertile land. And now New Zealand, for me, is the next fertile virgin land with Australia. Oz, from Eos to Oz. So we've got in Canada, in Montreal, so this very same place, which is right next to me, which is 322, that's the Skull and Bone, Genesis 322. The postcode of all the towns where I am, and this is the 50 of all. I'm the 90, 32290, and this is 32250. And it's on that 0 ley line, 43-0. There's Casabon. So I had a funny experience this morning. I thought I smelt gas last night and this morning, and I went to the village. I said, look, I think I can smell gas. And everybody said to me, call the firemen. So I thought that was a bit dramatic. But then I thought maybe in my old caravan there was a gas bottle I didn't know about or something, or I didn't know. So I called the pompier. the sapin, pompier, sapin, sapin is another word for tree, the pine tree. Sapin, if you turn the words around, becomes Spain, the rain in Spain. So they came and they had these different instruments to measure the amount of gas, but then they had these other instruments to measure oxygen, and that signal went off, and because of that they let another group of firemen come because they thought they should double check it. But it did make me think about, you know, we've had those people suffocated, and we had, for Jazz and Marciac here, we had Sting, Marciac, temperatures, when we had a big heat wave to open COVID in 2019. We had Sting, every breath you take. That was here, Jazz in Marciac, Jupiter, Mercury, our area is all, and it was the 42nd edition, so that's your Jupiter, 2442. After Juan Baez, so there, and Carlos Santana the year before, so there was, and the heat, let's see, because we'll see the images. Jazz Marciac, temperatures, it was like 42 degrees, and the 42nd, it was incredibly hot. 42 degree, yeah, well, it was the 42nd, and it got very, very hot. So every breath you take, this is all the area. So Marciac is exactly underneath on the map. If you go like that, we'll see Lupiac, and then Marciac. There's Marciac directly underneath. So Marciac is also 43.0, like here, 43.0, and Eos. And this is the axis southwest and northeast. So you've got Canada, what we've got exactly, it's this line. It's 45 minus 72. So these two tips, the fires, the smoke is coming over here to Europe, right in that line between Scorpio, Sagittarius on this galactic gap. And then on the other side, we've got that famous meeting point between Canada and America. So we've really got the four corners. We've got Asia, we've got America to make orange, and then the merging of black and white, Africa and Europe. So we're coming up at the same time. This is the chart of that full moon. So Jupiter in Aries, North Node still conjunct. That North Node is getting closer and closer, going in the opposite direction of the planets to come back to the mutable cross. It's gonna hit Pisces and Virgo, that black and white, and Chiron is getting closer and closer to coming back to finish its cycle from 1977 to now. Uranus making a big square to Venus and Mars, fire in Leo on the feet of Jesus, and we've got Saturn opposite in Aquarius, not completely opposite, but pretty opposite. Pluto will be nearly back to Sagittarius, but that full moon on Sagittarius, right on the summer triangle, Vega, Deneb and Altair, and here on Sirius, Mercury very visible at 99, making this little semi-square also to Venus and Mars. So we've really got those inner planets, Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, Mars. Got a square from Uranus to the moon as well. So Uranus. So this fire's certainly going to get bigger news as these guys get fully, if we come back to now, Venus is now properly in Leo. So she moved in yesterday, and that's when the news of the fires came out in the newspapers. So that energy of air and fire to make orange, and now the only water that we have is Chiron and Neptune in Pisces. This is really orange, the age of orage, and we've got the South Node, the tail, in Libra as well. So air and fire and Mercury very visible next to the Sun. This is bringing in the fires. This is bringing in the smoke. This is bringing in really that energy to bring up Jacques. So we're gonna just look at a few posts. I'll just take you through this church in Lupiac, D'Artagnan, yellow and blue. And this connection with Maastricht, Holland, orange. So my lake and our forest, all the trees have fallen down. The lake is completely, it's got completely disgusting with, you know, wood and debris, and it's like, it was the cleanest I've ever seen it, and now it's completely infected. So Lupiac, D'Artagnan is the dart in Aignan, D'Artagnan, and Lupiac is absolutely fine. So I'm lucky to have these two lakes either sides. Is there any more of the church in here? So yeah, and this is where the festival, the Vic Fezensac festival of Salsa is. So there's also this risk of an earthquake at the moment. They keep talking about it. It will be up here on the news. What's going on? Martin Lewis, 3-day warning with direct debit energy bills. Heat wave, so subtropical Mediterranean airstream to see UK roasted. So this is what I mean. This is all the roasted. Britain to plunge into monsoon phase as torrential rain. So yeah, that's the ultraviolet, the Elizabeth line, and they're showing us the line, the horizontal line. So, you know, they really are building us. Huge tornado rips through suburban areas of Indiana, but I also saw volcano. And then they've even got the big crocodile, alien planets, the hottest on record. So this is what I mean with all that fire will a solar storm really cause an internet? So we really are looking at big times, and there's some volcano as well. I saw in Italy, in Mexico. This is about the Franco-Dutch War. After the death of D'Artagnan, the preparation of the attack. Okay. To take you to a couple of posts, but just things that have popped up for me is Trading Places, that film. So you've got, he's called Valentine. We've got Jamie Lee Curtis, JL, Jacob's Ladder Cut. That's the Solstice line. So we leave the mutable cross. Pete, Paul, the Empire reign is over, and they birth Jacques and the Beanstalk. We are the Mid-L Pillar, Nile Line Jordan. Jamie Lee Curtis is simply JL Cut, Jacob's Ladder. Valentine is Father Christmas, the Mafia, Sagittarius, Yellow, Fire, Empire. Jude Paul, Asia, Caped Hero, Batman, Merlin. Cupid is Gemini, Air, the Child, the Messenger. Robin, Arthur, Mercury, Quicksilver. They rule Southwest, Northeast, Galactic Gap. And we just saw, I fell on that man. We just fell on that man at the beginning of the video. You can go back and see it. Who's got the name of the Solomon Titan, that masked hero that rules the Galactic Gap. So they rule that gap, MJJM, that's why I've got Jazz in Marciac, where I am. Mercury, Jupiter, Mick Jagger, and Michael Jackson. Cupid, Valentine, CV is the masculine axis. Yellow, red makes orange. Golden Angel of the Mutable Cross, and the opposite feminine axis, black, white, is also CV. Corona, Virgo, and Victorious, Pisces. Peter, known as Victor. Corona and Victor, black Virgo, white Pisces, also Jupiter and Mercury. They rule the tilt horizon, hormonal Eliza. Trading places between white, black, Europe, Africa, and yellow, red, Asia, America, and they become one. That's the whole point of the film, is that the black man, Eddie Murphy, and the white man, they become friends, they team up, and they go against the bank, and they become one. This is the merging of the four corners, 2023, Catch 22 from 2001, and this meridian bringing up the Union Jack. Bringing up that Union Jack. So, birthing the blue, yellow, green god, Middle East Jack, when the mutable cross rises, their version of the Orange Golden Age. So that was just a bingo post. A fire broke out backstage in a theatre. The clown came out to warn the public. They thought it was a joke and applauded. He repeated it. The acclaim was even greater. I think that's just how the world will come to an end, to general applause from wits who believe it's a joke. So that is absolutely... And then again, I always come back to this film, my absolutely favourite film as a child, Bugsy Malone. So this is the children, Mercury, Mafia, and you'll see why when I come up to other posts, but Titans, Romans, Olympians, Greeks, and the Britannica. Energy, NRG, so RG, Romans, Greeks, and the Britann, the N, the Meridian Ley Line, the North Polaris Line, NRG. And now we've got NRJ in France. The radio station is the J, Jack. So the three crosses and the four corners meet. So those three boats, the Titanic, the Olympic, and the Britannic, and they each had the big steam pipes. They had four on each. So the three crosses, the 12 signs, 3 times 4 is 12. Your energy, you light the Narnia Fifth Republic. Lamp, lamp. Eiffel Tower is the torch you light. The electron, proton, neutron, salt, surfer, and the children Mercury. HMHS Britannic was the third and final vessel of the White Star. So white lines, White Star, there's been white powder being sent to government officials, and we've got this smoke coming. Olympic class of steamships and the second White Star ship to bear the name Britannic. She was the youngest sister of the RMS Olympic and the RMS Titanic, and was intended to enter service at the transatlantic passenger liner. On Smoke from Canada arrives in France. At the same time, Hierophant Chanel publishes a new video. So this is a video from Uno, and I made a comment. And he said something very interesting. Been talking about Montreal, and he said we find the same representation of the pyramids of Giza in Montreal, with the PYI pyramid Cirque du Soleil creation link with the sun god Ra. Moreover, the pyramid is located next to the clock tower. It is called Sailor's Memorial Tower, because at the time it was a lighthouse that lit up ships. The clock tower was built in England at the same basis as Big Ben. In addition, you should know that the city of Montreal was the first port to welcome the Britannic, which was the twin of the Titanic. Everything I've just said, the Britannic was indeed originally built in 1866. So there again, you've got 1968 is 1866, and 1986, which is the period of Pluto in Virgo. And I've said to you, this is all the connection. My great-grandmother was brought, the portrait done of her, of the May Queen, came out in 1866. You will often find this date. She was built to tow Allen Line ships on the St. Lawrence to Montreal. 7 years later, she was refitted as a cargo passenger steamship along the St. Lawrence River in Quebec. So this is really about the merging of those, absolutely, between Africa and America, and between Alaska and Russia. The merging on the two sides of the meridian line between this full moon axis. So this is the video, Just a Breath Away, a Paris movie scene, and it's this smoke. And there's your dog, Sirius. So, I'll let you go and see that video. I just have to show you that. Look, smoke arrives in France via Brittany. So I said that this Bastille in Montreal was called the Brittany of Armagnac, this connection on the Atlantic Ocean. And here's the smoke coming over. So this merging, joining here between America and Europe, and on the other sides, so here Virgo is currently under where Virgo is where the Titan sunk in the sea, just here. And now we've got this smoke coming over here to France, and on the other side we've got Russia and Alaska meeting Taurus and Gemini, the meeting of these, of the mutable and the fixed cross, and bringing up Taurus in Asia and Australia, bringing up this, this new girl, this warrior woman, the Me Too, Instagram. So that film shows it's the last ending scene where you've got the two mafia meetings, very Roman Greek. So here you've got them coming, they prepare, they have a full out splash, and then they all become friends at the end. He's called Billy, the little boy Billy. So Fat Sam plays very much the Roman, the Italian, and then you've got this Eastern look. And it's quite scary what he says, but they're all playing the role of the children, Mercury, Salt, Sulfur, and Mercury, the children, Gemini, Taurus, playing now on the summer solstice, bringing up Kali energy for the children with Taurus, bringing this energy over into Asia, the manga, heroes, children. And then at the end, they've got that famous song, "You could have been anything that you wanted to be," and everybody comes together. So going back up, so this post from yesterday, Jack and Rose, the Hormone Eliza line, Jude Pete, Jude Polo, and Jack and the Beanstalk. I was listening to Culture, so on the radio they had a whole thing about the Saint-Jacques de Compostelle path, which got me thinking about Montreal and the zero ley line and this full moon coming, and then we'll get to it, but eventually it's just again about the Feast of Jean and Janus, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. They have that song for Janus the gatekeeper. So the rain in Spain, Sapin stays mainly on the plain, Jane, horizon, Zion, horizon, shore, horse, Ion, Eiffel Tower, Eiffel. Jack is your light bulb when you face your inner joker. Son of Zebedee, elder brother of St. John the Evangelist and fisherman on the Lake Tiberias, St. James the Greater was one of the first apostles of Christ after the crucifixion. He leaves to preach the good word, perhaps in the Iberian Peninsula. On this subject, a controversy has arisen between historians on the reality of his preaching in Spain. His presence to evangelize the Iberian Peninsula is indeed mentioned late around the year 400 by Saint Jerome, then around 650 in Byzantine texts. Moreover, the legend of the translation only dates from 850 to 900. St. Jack then returns to Jerusalem, where he is beheaded around 44 on the orders of King Herod. Knowledge about his life is tenuous. He is only mentioned 17 times. Anyway, this is St. Jack. So then this is about the Compostela, which is all that Venus shell. That's what the whole, when I had a house for 3 years, and I had every night up to 25 pèlerins, and it was, I had my shells everywhere, the Venus shell. So we've got what I wanted to say is, according to Christophe Alacanta, the modern approach to the pilgrimage to Santiago de Compostela gives precedence to the journey over the destination, the beauty of the landscapes over devotion. The holy place, the sanctuary, is no longer the objective, and the which historically is only the means to achieve it has become the goal. Moreover, many pilgrims believe today that the pilgrimage stops facing the ocean long after having passed the sanctuary, which represents a real heresy. The tourist craze for Christian sites gives the church the opportunity to raise public awareness of its message, explains Marie-Hélène Chevrier. It's an opportunity to introduce and understand the faith to tourists who are sometimes very far from the Catholicism without falling into... Yes, this was translated from the radio, so that was what I heard on the radio. They were talking all about who is Saint Jacques, really. So the Mecca, this famous journey to the black box, which makes that middle point in the wheel, or the fake 13th sign. It's your Jack in the box. It had to happen. This is this passage of the mutable cross becoming the fixed cross, and we've got Venus and Mars in Leo, and we've got Venus making a journey back to Cancer, water, white, Europe, and then coming back to that fire king, Leo. So there you've got Jack and the rose line, the Union Jack, the meridian rose line, which is this line that it sits between Scorpio and Sagittarius. When we're fully on the fixed cross, Scorpio will fully hit here, and Taurus should fully hit here, but the new North Scorpio, and they want to bring Taurus up, merging this, making this free Martin, this sterile Taurus, and this androgynous child's Mercury. That's why Bugsy Malone, it's the Mercury, it's the children. Salt, sulfur, Mercury. When the two triangles meet, winter and summer, you get that salt, sulfur and Mercury. And that's why I saw the closing of the Four Corners in New Zealand that I showed you, closing of the box, and we were on the sea at Sulphur Point. We had all the school children that were there, Mercury, and we had the salt. We were on the water, salt at Sulphur Point, and the children Mercury. So it's all happening. So there she's standing, Taurus on the cross, but Jack, this is about rising Jack, the Union Jack. So the three crosses, St. Andrews, Patrick, and England, St. George, kills the Milky Way, Scorpio, Snake, and we have the Union Jack. Yeah, Pierre Paul, Jupiter has his takeover. And there is D'Artagnan. This is St. Jacques. But he is the man in the hat, just like we saw on this Solomon figure that we just fell on. I think that I don't have him here anymore. I don't have him anymore. And then we've got Elderlies, the spear, we've got the little Cupid, we've got Cupid and Valentine. The four Cupid, the four Gemini closing, Sirius, keeper of the four corners, that's Gemini, and now rising Sagittarius, but creating Jack in the galactic gap. So there's the pillars, that is normally Virgo. It's the medulla in our brain. And now we've got these two men here, and he's holding the sphere, the spear. There he is, Jack. Okay, so Janus as well, Janus. But Janus should be the Capricorn, the high cardinal, Capricorn, Cancer, Alpha, Omega, Aries, Libra. That's the true closing on the cardinal cross. So here we've got St. John's flag, which puts that heart in the middle with the four fleur-de-lis, just as we saw here. And this sphere taking the vertical. It's all there. Jesus, he holds Jupiter and Saturn in his two fingers together, and the Sun and Mercury and Mars, with the Sun and Mercury, and Venus, the heart. So Jack in the box, again, that's that Leonardo, Leo, and becoming Jack and taking Taurus, making Virgo into the Taurus. There's the Madeleine, Venus in the St. Jacques de Compostelle shell, and there is the true Magdalene passage here in the brain, which we just saw Jacques standing, and that's why Madeleine went missing. She's no longer in that gap because they have sunk the boats. They've sunk the boats in Miranda, missing Pisces. Where's Pisces in this image? Here. So Pisces, Virgo. Here. You are the portal. There is the High Priestess. Here's the green god, Jacques. And there again, this is Saint Martin de Tours. This is the axis. So we're going to have the Sun and Mercury in Gemini. So that's the between Gemini and Taurus. I'm going to have the moon in fire in Sagittarius between Scorpio and Sagittarius. This is rising their Instagram, and it's the buck moon. The buck moon. There he is. All these pictures that I keep showing you, you would have seen all these in the last video, but this is all so important. And as I explained, they show you that gap. He's standing in the gap. In the number 2 slot is free expression, just below the needs of feeding yourself. You know, this is Jupiter, this is the Joker, that is Mr. Bean, Jack and the Beanstalk in the gap. Yellow and black, feel free to insult me. And look, we've even got reform number 5. Section 5, again, taking the 5-pointed star. There's your Janus, which I'm going to be showing you in a minute. I'm going to talk to you about this solstice, and we'll end there. So we've had Sagittarius, and now what they're bringing up, Jacques, the fertility gods, Uranus, for the Olympics. So plasma event, Elizabeth line, and this is what they're showing us with this heat, with these storms. There's the Joker and the Green Man for 33. So we'll have 2 full moons on 2 3s. June the 3rd, July the 3rd. And this Matador is this merging of Taurus and Gemini in air sur l'Adour. This is, I'll be showing you the river. Jack and the Beanstalks, your Jordan line. That's why we've got where I live here, Jordan as well. And there is your dates. We've got the full moon right crowning this passage. So it really is enormous. Let's go back to the map of here. So I wanted to show you Jordan. I've got a door that moves in the wind and makes a funny noise. So Toulouse, Montauban, and here's Toulouse, and l'île de Jourdain. L'île de Jourdain. What is that? That is 43 and 1, just on the other side of the meridian ley line. L'île Jourdain. And then we've got Gimont. So there was that famous bit of motorway that has been built between l'île Jourdain, which makes 13 kilometers, between here and Gimont. So where's Gimont? Gimont, so that is the mount of the G there, right? So yeah, between Gimont and l'île Jourdain, 13 kilometers. They made this motorway, but they've only just finished it, making that number 13 in the gap. And of course, Toulouse is going to be the new space air, Gemini, where we're going to have, there it is, it's at Blagnac. So coming back to the pictures, l'Île de Jourdain, that line, that is the dates, and this is really, and there's your Mecca box, 322, so all the area where I live is 322, Montreal is 32250. There is no 13th sign. This is the center. This is the main observer point, the pivot point for 360-degree vision. And it's all about finding this fifth element. So your 5-0 and Montreal is 32250. 32250. Where did they take me? They took me, yeah, well, yeah, it's right here. 32250, so that's 32420. Montreal. And there's the Villa Gallo, Sevillac. Look, there's a key. There's a key. There's a key. Sevillac. Right. So that 5-0, the triangle closing, 32250. Okay, I'm not going to go over these pictures. We do it every time. This is all about this point in the brain. And the solstice is all about the two sides of the coin of Janus, winter and summer. And this is what I want to show you. This is what I want to show you, these two other posts quickly before we end. And I might even, or otherwise I'll do it in my newsletter, but I might do on this video, I think I will do tarot with you as well. We're going to have a look and see what tarot says to us. Right, so that Jack in the box is when you meet your joker, your shadow. Otherwise, he takes over that center line, that Union Jack. The solstice. This is a friend who posted this yesterday. Last weekend, we had cars. I'm going to show you where this is again on the map. I'm going to put Plaisance. So Plaisance is in the valley where there is the river that runs from Lourdes to the, no, we've got Plaisance. Right, so here's Plaisance. And the river runs, so the river comes from Lourdes and runs through Montmarsan into here, through into the Atlantic. Oops, so Plaisance. There's the river, it's the river Aros, Mars, but then we've got Jubiloc, so the Boaz and Jacqueline pillars here, and Jubiloc has got another river that runs through. So where is the river? Ardour, the Ardour. So the Ardour, and we have Jubiloc, and Jubiloc is right next to Plaisance. There's Plaisance right here, Jubiloc, Plaisance. So in these images, you see they celebrate James Bond, 007, a yellow car, Gemini, running down the banks, two sides of the bank. So it's very funny, but this was all on the solstice. Look, everyone's in yellow and red. And what do I put here? Stop that. So last weekend, summer solstice celebrations, Jubiloc, Jude's Bollocks, the Boaz Jacking Pillars, Acker, JBBJ, Jane Birkin, Bridget Jones, James Bond and Boris Johnson. I speak of this solstice line often and the two sides of the coin as we cross the axis of self. Everything is about fighting for the shift in solstice axis between ages. Red, blue, pillar, ra, your brain, crane, merging four corners through the two pillars. X marks the solstice winter summer line and the river Aros, Ra, Mars runs through the banks. Cars, Gemini, twin pillars. Mercury, the sun is between Gemini cars and Taurus, Mose cow, leaving Gemini, Gemini Sagittarius Solstice axis for Taurus Scorpio. Currently we float between ages in the GG galactic gap midsummer midnight express. As we move on to the fixed cross and leave the mutable cross JM MJ Jupiter Mercury Jazz and Marciac Solstice Ile de Jourdain line Nile. So this post brings this up again. There is Janus, who is Jacques, who is James, who is the John Summer Winter Triangle Solstice, which is currently above Gemini Winter Sagittarius Summer. So I feel the shift always after summer solstice. I just thought I wasn't recording for a moment. I feel the shift always after summer solstice. We are moving into the shorter, darker nights. What amazes me is on the midsummer night's MARE Dream, all the owls moved in with a whoop hoo hoo, and all the creatures of the night follow suit. They hoot, bark, whistle, coo, and screech. They moan Eliza and make the rhythms of the corona night. Until that switch Passover Solstice date, the Nile Jordan Line Midnight Express between 96 Capricorn Saturn Winter and 69 Cancer Moon Summer is always so radical in its flip-flop. Two sides of the Janus coin. Cancer Kali, the dark side of the moon, Cancer, is as we shift over the Midnight Express. However, we are currently in the Gemini Sagittarius Solstice, a sun in Gemini, as the sun is in Gemini right now. We have a full moon on the 3rd of the 7th, moon in Sagittarius, sun in Gemini, Janus, St. John, Jacques, Joker, JJ, Gap, Cupid and Valentine, the Caped Heroes. So the constellation of Scorpio is that J. So opposites, the J, and it's right in this gap. We're going to have here the moon here. So the Joker, Hercules, Ophiuchus, this 13th constellation. It's the beginning of the wheel going under. That 13th sign is, do you get pulled into the abyss, into the underworlds? Or can you become that central position? Can you really merge the four corners? Cupid and Valentine, the Caped Heroes. So Little Boy Blue now integrates Gemini, the darkness of the Mother Cancer, and Merlin takes Old Mother Hubbard as his consort. The maternal mother is also the deadly mother. As the nights grow shorter, so does she. She holds the spine upright, and above Mother FishGoat Capricorn holds the top of the spear, spine, sphere and orb of the crown cap. But now we have, as we saw in that image, we've now got, so we've got Jacques holding Taurus, we've got Jacques holding the sphere in that arc, which is our brain, which is Tauranga in New Zealand. That is the volcano, the torch at the top. I showed you last time maps. There is the canary, the bird, Merlin, and right at the top we've got the Moant, MM again. It's all about that MM, that's why I've got all MM around me. Mont de Marsan, a village right next to me. Margaret Mem, MM, and there's the Well of the Dragon, where Willie and Kate came to Chateau La Roque. So they've got a little river called the Hour, and Chateau La Roque, there we go. That's where they came. Now that doesn't look, they say Chateau La Roque, but it's hidden down a path of trees. So I always find that picture confusing, because when you drive past, it's really an incredible spot between the trees. It's more like somewhere hidden in the trees here. The Well of the Dragon. So in Roman mythology, Janus was the god of doors, gates and transitions. Janus represented the middle ground between both concrete and abstract dualities. That is your 50 years of Pink Floyd, the triangle. Montreal here is 32250. The fires are coming from Montreal. We're making that middle ground between the four corners. And we just saw that at Montreal, we've got the key. We just saw that key. Concrete and abstract, that is the prism between the light, the material and the spiritual. Dualities such as life, death, beginning, end, youth, adulthood, rural, urban, war, peace, barbarism and civilization. The pagan origins of solstice festivals, the feast of the summer solstice, long before the birth of Christ, the longest day of the year was celebrated. The celebration of the arrival of the summer season originates from the sun cult, celebrated since antiquity. European peoples such as the Slavs and Celts, and the peoples of the Fertile Crescent such as the Phoenicians and the Syrians. So Phoenician, Syrians is just the Romans and the Greeks and the Celts. That's what those three boats represent: Titanic, Olympic, Britannic. And that's what the Union Jack represents: the Scottish St Andrews, the St Patrick's Irish, and the St George becoming the one Jack. This is it. This is heralding Lucifer, whatever you want to call Jack. Jack and the beanstalk, finding the gold at the top of the beanstalk, the torch, the Olympic torch, coming to Paris, Texas. And the peoples of the Fertile Crescent, such as Phoenicians and Syrians, celebrated a great festival in honor of the god of abundance of plants and livestock, the fertility god. This, as is the case today for the tradition, Feast of St. John began the evening before. So what happened with the Feast of St. John? Explosion in a petrol station in Russia. And we had for the solstice in Paris, in Rue Saint-Jacques, a gas explosion. In Europe, this day of the Summer Light Festival was already characterized by large fires with which certain rituals were associated. The ash from the midsummer fires, persevered crops from lightning storms, lovers jumping over fires saw their love last all year round. The Winter Solstice Festival, the significance of the Winter Solstice is the return of light. From this date, the days will become longer and light will triumph overnight. It is the realm of life with the announcement of spring that will allow all plants to be reborn and all animal life to be reborn. On a more metaphysical level, the winter solstice is the symbol of nature's and man's ability to regain his regenerative energy. This regeneration occurs through inner forces as the external environment is hostile. The winter solstice thus symbolizes the blossoming of an inner light that is a source of life. So this is very much, we've got here this Midsummer Night's Dream, this Midnight Express. They've got male and female, the two sides of the coin. And as I expressed, I always find this radical. I always prefer winter, Janus, January, and the days getting longer. I've really got a squeaky door going on. So we're now going to have a pause and I'm going to shuffle some tarot. Okay, so I've pulled 3 Oracle Gypsy cards. And quite interesting, so I put one card that fell out, money, upside down, we've got reversed, and then we've got prison to the left, and we've got letter to the right. If you want to see images and the full rundown of each card, I'll be adding that to my newsletter. So you want to go to my site that I'll put a link to under this video, and please subscribe so that you receive my newsletters. We didn't have a newsletter last week because of the storms, but I will be adding the pictures of these cards. So money in the middle, upside down. Scorpio, got the full moon in Sagittarius. But Scorpio and Taurus are very much about that hard-working material money, and Scorpio dealing with other people's money, and Gemini commercial activities. So commercial activities, big opposition to this moon energy. And we've got Venus that is going to begin her retrograde. Venus is responsible for Taurus, worth, money, coming back to where she's going to be retrograding the moon. This full moon talks about this Cancer, so something going on in finances. Let's see, we're asking the cards. So normally it's a positive cards, symbolizing money, abundance, good fortune, inheritance, winnings, luck. So that's very Sagittarius. Moon is Sagittarius is the gambler. Success, prosperity are within reach, confidence, self-worth, success. So this card depicts a room filled with money. There is money on the table and also in a large open safe in the wall. The large quantity of money visible symbolizes abundance. The open safe could symbolize, am I filming? Yes. Symbolizes abundance. The open safe could symbolize the need for saving or having to access savings. There is an empty chair by the table, which serves as a reminder that money does not bring happiness or love. There are other items with the money that could be wills or other documents of great value or concerning money. All these valuables, clearly visible, could symbolize assessing or taking stock of all that is available because there is a pressing need or shortfall to cover. The safe can also be a symbol of the heart, where opens for the future the secrets are stored. So this meridian main line, which travels from Africa up through Europe, it goes through Switzerland. We'll see if there is something about that, you know, definitely fires is going to be about food resources. Let's go back to that. So reverse, this card reverse signals a loss of money which could be due to gambling, money wasted or spent in vain. It is only interpreted as positive when reversed if it is associated with an ending card, signaling the end of a period of stagnation, poverty, misery or financial hardship. In most cases, though, it is a warning that there will be complications as a result of inadequate funding. This can be due to the inquirer spending too much, squandering an inheritance, depleting savings, or making poor investment choices. It advises that the time of plenty is over and that it is time to be frugal and conserve resources. If the inquirer is waiting for a sum of money, it is likely that it will not come. So, this makes me think, so, you know, Taurus, I was thinking of Robin Hood, so I tapped up Robin Hood, the Retour, and there is a film that came out 2 years ago, The Return of Robin, so it says here it's 2020, so this must be a new film. So Robin Hood, Gemini, commerce, saving, taking money from the rich, Anonymous, V for Vendetta, all this axis, let me find this axis here, Robin Hood, Robin, Batman, the hero. So Robin looks after the people, the rebels, revolution, and for the return of Richard the Lionheart. So we've got this Venus going to be retrograding and then coming back to the Lionheart, and, you know, Leo, the king, the Sun King, Apollo, the Sun, yeah. So interesting, we'll see. Then we've got the first one. So we could look as the first card as what we've just been through, prison. The negative theme card symbolizing mental or physical confinement, difficulty moving on, shame, guilt, self-punishment, a period of anxiety, regret, remorse, exile, loneliness. So that is what we've been through from COVID. And now things are all hotting up again, and now we're getting ready for this torch being lit in the Olympics. Rising Jacques and the Beanstalk in Paris. So it symbolizes a prison, a place of punishment, despair, loneliness, confinement. This card shows a man in chains in prison, alone and cut off from the world, behind bars. He's well dressed, holding his head in his hands, perhaps feeling remorse or regret. In the lower right corner there is a picture symbolizing what is needed to survive the confinement, loneliness and solitude. So this is also a bit that energy of Jesus, 40 days and 40 nights of temptation, which is that Venus retrograde periods. And this card straight most commonly symbolizes something locked, closed, or the inability to break free. This could be related to actual punishment or justice, but more likely it is related to spiritual or emotional conditions. Very much that place of the prism, finding that triangle opening between this winter and summer, silver and golden gates, finding your 13th middle. You know, we're going to have, this is the axis between the mutable feminine Corona, Victor, and masculine Cupid, Valentine, 322, 223. We're in the year of 2023. which is that 3-2-2 flipped. So it's about being able to really find that freedom, that central pivoting place in the brain, your third eye. This confinement, so this card can symbolize taking time to think and meditate on mistakes. This confinement could be self-imposed, so it could indicate there is an inability to move forward, either through stubbornness or being imprisoned by a person or a situation. This card suggests that the conditional circumstances are not permanent. It is a temporary state that once the sentence is over, the person will be free. So if this card represents us as a first card, the past, it's what we've been through, but it's also a time to come out of mental prison, to find your personal Jesus, to find your Jacques, to find your John the Evangelist, to find the two sides of your Janus, your right, left, pillars, and to be free in the middle without being one or the other, to find that middle path. Okay, the last card is the letter. But before I look at the letter, Gemini is the messenger. Mercury is very, very visible. He's right on the keeper of the four corners. Jupiter, that rules Sagittarius, where the moon is next to the North Node, conjunct, making a very nice sextile to the Sun and Mercury, bringing in the hero, you know, high cardinal fire. That's what Jupiter wants to be, the red cap on the top of the cape, the cherry, the clown, the nose of the clown, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, which is what we see in those images of the canary, the top, the cap, the peak. He's sitting on this chart at this time right on the peak. And then we've got a double square to Pluto retrograding on his way back, but still in that earthquake energy of high cardinal Capricorn, the cap. So the head of the snake, the tail of the snake. Mars rules Aries up here. Jupiter rules Sagittarius, where the moon is. And Saturn, air. The air is making a trine to bring up Gemini and the Sun, Apollo, as the air. So this is very messenger energy, and this card's upright, the letter. So let's find the letter. This is a neutral card signifying communication, news or information that could be either positive or negative. A message, a letter, note, email, text, an answer, approval, contract, document, a new opportunity or challenge. So the card shows a hand holding a letter. We only see the hand, thus the messenger is unknown. However, the hand and clothes suggest that the messenger is male. The representation is impersonal or mysterious. The setting is the backdrop is that of a home, and the letter itself is addressed to someone specific, suggesting that the letter will come directly and will have a personal impact. Makes me think of Sting again. Every breath you take, and also message in a bottle. Right. So upright. This card especially specifically refers to information that comes in written form, such as a letter or email. Well, that's what we've just had in Uno's last video. Was about 3 US states received cryptic letters with suspicious powder. So you can go and watch that, but this is what I mean. It's all coming together. There's these, you know, suspicious powder coming. So we've got another letter surely to come. This type of communication could contain a wide variety of messages. It could express feelings, request a meeting, protest something, request an answer, or give an apology or explanation. It is not generic news. It is a document from a specific sender to the recipient. The anonymity of the bearer also indicates that it can either be a missive for the inquirer or from the inquirer, and it could be delivered by a postman, courier, family member, friend, or an official like a bailiff, or an electronic form. What is most important is the content of this communication, so it is essential to consider associated cards for the subject matter and whether or not it will be positive or negative. So a message certainly coming to us for this full moon as we go through that 3773 L hell dub L07, that messenger, and it's about finding that fiery energy to prepare yourself. I think that we really are going to have this tempest, these fire and ice, temperamental extremes that we're having. So we want to just relax like lions and just get ready for this Pluto coming back to Sagittarius. I think that we're just going to have the Robin Hoods, the heroes, and they're pushing people. They're just pushing up that Bunsen burner heat. And in our personal lives, this is just sit back and be lazy lions, deal with family, go over that energy of the 40 days and the 40 nights coming up, to go over to maybe write a letter, phone somebody, say sorry, ask for forgiveness, have our repentance, and really use that nuclear energy from high cardinal earthquake to mutable fire. This is a message for the moon that rules Cancer, where Venus, peace, the tail of that snake is in Libra, bringing up some kind of justice. There's certainly going to be maybe something exposed in the financial markets, or some kind of movement of money, and bringing up some kind of hero for sure. So I'll get on with doing a newsletter now, and in that newsletter I'll be talking about content that I will be doing for my site, as I'm going to have 2 weeks off. I was meant to go away, but I'm actually not going to be going away because I've got too much work to do here. It gives me time to catch up on doing stuff on my site, catch up with a few readings that got postponed, rescheduled with the storms. And I will put onto that newsletter the tarot cards and what I've just read from the book. So go and subscribe. And I will leave now. I hope I've been coherent. I just knew I only had today to get that in, but this is a big full moon coming up, and this is bringing up the rebels. As I said, it's, with all this stuff going on in the town halls, all this aggression, these letters which are being sent, these fires, and this Venus retrograde and Pluto retrograde, and Saturn is retrograde, and we'll soon be having Uranus as well. Okay, until the next time, all my love. Bye for now.